Journals. We often think of them as being something maybe leather bound that has lines in it for writing, and it can be. This is a journal that I've been using. Someone gave it to me, and I decorated it to make it my own, and it has lines, dots in it that help me to draw and do different things. I've been using it during this period of stay-at-home learning to keep track of everything that's going on. But a journal could be something as simple as an old notebook that you could fill with writings or drawings. You can buy plain colored journals at Walmart for about $5, $6, but I'm going to show you how to make some journals. So the first one I'm going to show you is how to make an accordion journal. It's a little pocket-like journal, and you put little tabs on it so you can add to this journal and make it as long as you want. To make a journal like this, you simply take a piece of paper. I'm going to fold one end to make a little tab so I can attach it to another side. Then I'm going to divide up the space. I'm going to fold it like this in half, and then fold it again right up to that fold. If I do this with strips of paper that are all the same size, then when I open it up, I've got it divided evenly. I can accordion fold it back and forth, and then I can take my journal and add as many pages to it as I want. I simply hook them together. Making journals uses stick glue, or I like to use stick glue to make these journals. And then as it goes together, I can make my journal thicker and thicker as I go. I can double back a page and glue it together and make it a heavier cover. And I can decorate that cover by adding things to it. Here's a piece of wrapping paper I kind of like. And I can just add something like this to the cover of my journal. Then I could write on it, put my name on it, and it's a very small, inexpensive journal that you could probably make at home from paper. And you can write things in it. If I want to keep it closed up, I could use a ribbon, something fancy, or I could just put a rubber band around it. And there I've got a journal. But I want to show you another way, probably one of my favorite ways to make a journal out of something you have at home. One of my favorite ways to make a journal is to use an old hard-covered book. I got this book years ago, and I'm going to take the cover off of it. And this one just happens to be white, which makes it great for a journal. I'll add something to the cover, but inside it has nice paper that I can draw right on the pages. I can draw right over the top of the words. I can even glue pages together if I want a thicker type paper to work on. And when I turn the page, I can see that it bled through on the back side. So I'm just going to use my glue stick and glue that page together with that. So I'm going to put glue on this side. I'm going to go right to the edge. Make sure I get this edge really well. And then nobody's going to see the back side. I can press it down and work my hand all the way to the edge. I'm pressing down pretty hard, and now I have a thicker page that appears as one, and you don't see anything on the back side. I can do the same thing with found paper. I can take a magazine page where I like an image and decide how I want to put that on, and simply glue it also onto the page. Make sure I put a lot of glue. And then I could draw over the top of this. I think I want it this way. Press it down nice and tight. Does good sometimes to rub the back side too. And then I've got an interesting page that I could go ahead and write some words. I could use a Sharpie marker and write some things over the top. I can use all sorts of found papers cut to the size of my book that I can glue down. I can cut out pictures and images and glue those down. So this is a journal entry I drew using a black Sharpie on just a page in my journal. I used a black Sharpie because I wanted to use watercolor and I did not want the marker to run. If you use a Crayola marker like this, the marker will run and bleed. So I'm going to start by using some watercolor paint to add color to my ocean. So this is a journal entry I drew using a black Sharpie on just a page in my journal. I used a black Sharpie because I wanted to use watercolor and I did not want the marker to run. If you use a Crayola marker like this, the marker will run and bleed. So I'm going to start by using some watercolor paint to add color to my ocean. One last thing about adding things to your book. Sometimes we start adding things and our pages get rather thick. We can't close the book up because it gets too thick in there. So if that happens and you need to remove some pages to make it able to close back up, you can do that a couple ways. One way, this was a drawing that I started and I didn't like, so I'm going to go ahead and just tear it out. Now sometimes things don't tear really straight, but that if you tear out a few pages, that will give you some room in your book so that it can close. The other thing you can do is perhaps use a scissors, but scissors are really hard to get in there. One of the things that works best is an X-Acto knife. So always talk to your parents before you use something like this, and maybe they can do it for you. And you can cut some pages out to give your book some room. So I'm going to decorate my book later, and this is the start of my journal.